the thing. We did the thing. We did the thing. Is everything working? All the little green thingies are going. So
Aaron, you might either want a scoochie. There you go.
Well, yeah, I know. I saw. Well, I think it's also the fact that my camera is.
It's crooked.
It's crooked a little bit. There we go. Yay! Now I'm mostly centered, except not really in real life, but in make-believe land.
Center yourself.
Yes. On screen. Yes. Here we are. All right. Well, welcome to another Tuesday where we play Dungeons and Dragons, but it's not dungeony or dragony yet. It is mostly Greeky. Kind of like the sounds the wagons make whenever the little wheels go around. Or something like that. I don't know.
Wheels
Listen,
on the bus
Larities,
go
I need you to give me
creak.
less judgment. Less judgment with those eyes.
I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, he's just going.
All I gotta say is Greece is the word.
Ha. Hello everybody in chat. Thank you for being here tonight. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something super amazing, but
This definitely
This
not
is
significant
definitely-
episode where no one will die.
this is definitely August, and we're trekking along. Thankfully now, we have some excitement with Wednesday nights with Laertes, the Mist of Phoebe and Cyprus, but not under those names, where they can do, really sucky things.
But we can actually do that on stream. That's a different thing entirely. For those of you not paying attention, that's referencing to Vampire the Masquerade, and the title of that campaign is Savannah by Night. We've got 2 episodes done. Third one is tomorrow night, and we'll see how the characters react now that they're finally able to venture out into the city. And we'll see if any of them make it back.
Hold on. There we go. I played this too late. I should have started this earlier when you started talking. Get a little.
Y'all, I just discovered something amazing about how my blurring background works. I have this set of headphones here, and I can make it look like I'm being scanned.
Oh no. Well.
Do you remember last week
You
when Tara was asleep?
Are we,
No.
are we doing okay?
I don't
A
know.
lot better.
Hannah, yes. If you have not seen the art, here is a bigger picture. There you go. Look at that. Oh, look at the babies. Yep. They're super nice. Thank you, Bobby. Bobby Yats. Yep.
See, Bubby.
You'll see, you want to see some more of those lovely characters? Huh? Do ya? Well, then in that case, let's get on over and start our show, guys. Maybe I shouldn't
It's
have
all
had.
head to grease,
Maybe
y'all.
shouldn't have had
Giddy
I shouldn't have had caffeine an hour before stream and then not talk to anybody until just now. It's fine. It's the worst that could happen. All right. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into tonight's Age of Myth, Act 1, Paragraph 3, Chapter 4.
Subsection.
started. Journal of Ma'al Saj'ul, 16th of Thargelion, Hemera Selenes, 1005 after the fall. The young gods I find myself traveling with arrived in a Spartan shrouded by the darkness of a lessened sun. Phoebe keeps speaking of its return, though more it seems to convince herself than the people whom she tells. It was upon entering into the city that my woes grew 100-fold, as we were greeted by one of the most irksome humans I have ever met, Oretono. He and I have an annoyingly entangled past. I find that the young minstrel always finds himself in the company of, or at the very least the vicinity of, learned people who specialize in the Old Kingdom. And to that effect, somehow, every time, I find the minds of those individuals muddled and close-lipped, when they had not been so before. There is more, but I will not waste the effort in having them remembered in my journals. It did come to our attention, however, that this man I so dislike is among the number of those with Orphic power, much to my surprise and horror. Yet, here we are. The young godlings decided, after some refreshments, that to seek a weaver here within the city, as per the wishes of the goddess Hecate. Upon finding this weaver from Kemet, we have arranged for ourselves lodging with him and his family while we stay within the bounds of Sparta. But with my old bones being as they are, it is here that we must suspend my personal experience and go to the accounts of witnesses of the events that followed. There was in those days a man in Sparta who was a devout of Phobos, the young god who was himself proclaiming through his followers that the age of the divine was coming to an end. This dark prophet, by the name of Orcos, had begun to speak to the most gullible of creatures, those whose anger and hatred could be easily rallied to this cause, humankind. He spoke of challenging those that would see them held down to their station, of how the gods did nothing to protect them from the horrors that were now abounding the darkened lands, and how they did nothing because they were in fact scared. It was during this speech that the one named Phoebe asked from where Orcos derived this power, if the gods had spoken to him. Orcos in return replied that the gods had given him nothing, nor had they spoken to him, that instead one who had once been amongst their number, but no longer, had spoken to him instead, Phobos. Though Orcos proclaims he knows the fate of the gods whose sins caused this old world to fall, Phoebe presses how he knows this. But the Dark Prophet remains true to his words and does not fall for the attempts at debate. It was then that the child Cyprus decided it wise to speak, trying to lure those gathered with promise of coin that they would pay this man no heed. Noble intent, but foolishly playing into the words of Orcos, for someone of wealth would want them to pay no heed, no? Again the Dark Prophet guides his people, that if they would wish to take his coin, then they take it, for there is only one of him and many of them. Despite the potential danger, Cyprus calls upon his divinity, claiming his authority and being one of the people, yet also showing his own power and divine heritage, showing more of the words of Orcos to be true. At last, Themisto steps forward, claiming to want to know more, as she says, she is uncertain of what these signs mean. The darkening of the skies, the beasts and monsters roaming the field. It would seem that names are being thrown about that she would wish to hear more of. Orcos accepts the invitation to feed her the knowledge she hungers for. Before tensions and actions could take place, a regiment of the Spartan army arrives and disperses the crowd, though not before a great gritting of teeth and a restraining of anger on behalf of the human Spartans present. As the crowd goes and returns to their home, the pitch black of night covering the skies and shadowed corners, Themisto follows as promised to the abode of the priest of Phobos, this dark prophet. Phoebe casts her powers upon the waters of a fountain in the square, claiming it as a sign from Apollo, though it was not received as hoped. Laertes and Oretono stand aside, speaking with the general and Davos as they arrived, leaving the child Cyprus, spurned temporarily by his companions, as he was still under the influence of the golden aura of his divinity, as he seemed a loss for words. Of my times traveling with these young demigod Orphics, the events of that journey into Sparta would mark the start of a turbulent time in history, not just for them, but for all of the Aegean. And so, as we return to the present, here...
Hey, that was so good.
Thank you. Here within this square, on the human side of Sparta, we start with Themisto. The door closes behind you, and the woman that stands before you ushers you into a room, and you quickly look about. You remember Oretono having spoken that this had at one time been a shop, a furrier shop. And indeed, you see on the walls empty shelving. You see a counter and a single door. This place is sparse of anything else, as it looks like it has been recently cleared out. The woman that guides you in, you see behind her Orcos and the young man and a couple of other individuals as they stand off to the side and seem to be conversing amongst themselves. The woman guides you off to the side away from them a little bit. Is there anything that you require? Are you hungry? Thirsty? Cold? How may I make you more comfortable?
Allow me this the truth.
I see. It is excellent that you have come here. You have your hood up, right?
Yes.
There is a moment where she's been like looking at your eyes, but there is now a moment where she kind of like peers down, and she goes, "You needn't hide your beautiful face here. You're amongst friends now. No one will harm you as long as you are being truthful to your word."
Mr. will go ahead and pull her hood down and expose her head of sneaks.
She smiles, and her face softens. Ah, I had the feeling that there would be a beautiful face to match the beautiful voice. I was not mistaken. So, you said you wished to know the truth. She looks over her shoulder at Orcos and the others that are speaking in the other corner. Perhaps there is something that I can answer or help you find before you speak with Orcos.
There could be, I suppose.
And
This guy. When Orcos spoke about it turning dark, and he responded to the girl in the crowd, they exchanged the name. The name of Phobos. Orcos smiled like he knew. Is there something there? Or was he humoring her?
the poor girl outside, she clings to names and things that she knows nothing of. Maybe she knows some things, but one could say that yes, something is there. It is Phobos that has opened our eyes. It is Phobos that has shown us what is coming and what has transpired.
I'm supposed to rely on Apollo for these things, but we cannot see him right now.
She cautiously places a hand on your shoulder, like not on top, but like here on the side. And just gives you like a reaffirming little squeeze. Such is the way with the gods these days. We find that more and more they are stepping away from us, leaving us to our fates when we need their guidance most. I'm sorry that you have been left behind.
Mr. Will nod thankfully, appreciatively.
Actually, she looks over at your face and seems to be trying to study you, like seeing gauging for the truth. She's just trying to
Nice.
she's basically like, you get the feeling that she is basically like a screener. She's kind of just testing you a little bit, seeing what you would say, what you would ask.
Of course.
When was the last time that you gave any worship to Apollo?
It was probably 2 days ago now.
Did you feel he answered you?
It is difficult to worship the god of the sun when there is no light.
This was all so unexpected. We knew that the gods were troubled, that they knew that their fate is sealed and the world is changing. We had not expected it to happen so soon. Our best hope is to try and save as many as we can. It is a shame. But you are on the right path. She now puts her hands on either shoulder again. You are learning the truth. And that is the best thing for you. eyes seem to like glint in the lamplight here. And I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Here we go.
Remember, you got that bardic from last time.
Yeah, I may employ it.
I also have an inspiration I can dole out if it actually becomes necessary.
All right, let's give this a try, shall we? We're gonna throw that bardic on there too, just to crush this. And so
With a D8.
we're gonna blow this out of the water with
D8
a.
is so good.
Okay, that's 32.
Yeah.
Dang. That's
Oh
wild.
my god.
It's a big
So
number.
Prepare
that
for a
breaks down.
chaos. No.
I rolled a 19 on my die here, and then Themisto has a wisdom saving throw of 6 plus the additional high roll on the bardic dice.
That's pretty good.
I will say because of that high roll, something about the way that she looked into your eyes, it would have been mesmerizing. You feel almost a pull to want to listen to every word that comes from her lips. And your eyes get pulled to her lips and every beautiful part of her face. And the fire that burns within her eyes. No, within her eyes there is a fire. And you catch it for a moment. What you thought was a glint of sparkling light from the torch and the oil lamp here. No, this light came from within her eyes. She has tried to charm you. And it failed.
Having taken this in and feeling a sense of familiarity that she was pulling on, perhaps, that feeling of closeness that Themisto has to Phoebe, that intimacy, she is going to play along as best she can, as if it succeeded.
Roll me a deception check.
Oh, right, here we go.
You can do it. You can do it.
35.
How about a little bit lower, but still good? How about a 17?
Not bad.
I'm sorry, 18. I'm bad at
Nope.
math.
No, you're fine. She smiles. I'm glad that you are here. And she gives you one last squeeze on the arm, a tender squeeze. She turns to Orcos. Orcos. I'm sorry, she turns back to you. I did not get your name. Tell me your name.
Should I be honest? I think I think my name is probably known. But you know what? We're gonna lie.
Okay.
Odessa.
Odessa. Odessa has come to learn from you the truth of what is going to happen to the gods and the mysteries that will be revealed to us all very, very soon. Orcos standing amongst the other handsome young man, and then these other three, what look like more commoners. He kind of like gestures, and they part to the side, and he walks over to you. You now get to see him slightly at a more close and personal. There was something about him as he stood on the fountain that made him seem so knowledgeable, so imposing almost. And now that you see him up close, you wonder what was so special before. He doesn't seem that extraordinary. He seems almost somewhere between fatherly and grandfatherly. He has an oldness to him. He has a wisdom to his features, but also a gauntness. Something that you had not noticed before. His eyes seemed sunken a little. His cheeks hollowed. His skin pale. Something that you would almost come to expect from someone that was part of the cult of Phobos, though you have had very, very little interaction with their kind. But something about him plays into what your mind would imagine this would be.
What is the space like? Are there little places to sit on the floor, or like
This room honestly is just like an empty shop. The closest thing to sit on would be the countertop that's like back further on the wall. Like each side is about it's about 15 feet deep, I guess you could say, and almost 30 feet like long. It's just a long rectangle, right? But then by this, as you are walking in the front door, the left back corner has another doorway that you can see a little bit of light from underneath the bottom, almost as if there's like a fireplace or something on the inside. But otherwise, the only light seems to be in this room is coming from one of the torches that one of the men is holding, and then a couple of oil lanterns that are sitting on the empty shelves that are around this room. So it's a very dim light, very warm and cozy, but there's just a very sparseness to this place.
what are the others all standing?
Everyone's standing.
Okay. Then as I come forward, I will remain standing too, but I'll adopt a casual posture, but like a rapt sort of attention, almost bringing myself a little bit lower as if I can like look up in amazement, like I'm like a kid looking at Santa Claus or something.
Okay.
I appreciate you coming forward under such difficult circumstances. I know that crowds and the pressure that they put on the individual can be intimidating, to say the least.
They say, and Themisto's snakes are just kind of moving gently during this. A difficult thing for me is what I am, and I say priestess, but I have to give the people hope, and if you are offering it, then perhaps I have found the way.
My child, you should not fear what you are. You are a creature of great beauty. You are unique. Amongst the pebbles of mankind, you are a gem. You should not hide that from anyone.
Thank you. Themisto is a little taken aback.
Now, I am to understand you said you try to offer comfort to the people? Are you I get the feeling a priestess of some sort?
Yes. She's gonna point to the symbol on her arm.
He comes over and studies it and looks at it. And then looks at you with a sadness to his face. Oh. I am sorry. Apollo. What a turbulent disappointment I imagine you are feeling right now.
It is a great unease. And that's the truth.
Turns to the camera.
Hey.
It's one to grow on.
No. Now you know. Now you can see what they are for what they are. They serve only themselves. Unless it benefits them, they are nowhere to be seen. And it is unfortunate that we have to rely so much on their mercy and their power.
I'm so foolish.
No, you have no one to blame but them. They have lied to us all for many, many years. So much so that now everything appears to be truth. But now your eyes are going to be opened. You will see them for what they truly are. What brought you to Sparta?
Yeah. I sense that the darkening sky, that the force behind it was here. That if I was to know, then it Sparta is where I must be.
Yes. Truly you are a devout priestess. And you have a good sense to you. Perhaps Apollo did at one time gift you with a gift of prophecy, something to allow you to see a glimmer of the truth. And now that gift is going to be his undoing. For now you, with your own eyes, will uncover the very truths of reality, just as we have. Do you hunger? Are you thirsty?
They keep asking about this, so I think yes. When I entered I was not, but I think I am.
Do not worry. We can provide you something to eat, something to fill your belly, and once a belly is full, it is much easier to think that way. You'll be able to see so much more.
Already, yeah. You and the sister have given me such comfort.
Manea, go tell Ilsoa to prepare a bowl of soup. Something hearty. The woman who had let you in just bows her head, goes to the door, and
slips inside. You try and peer through the door as she opens it.
I am going to take a look, and hopefully my snakes have been trying to give me a sense of other goings on in the space since I've been in here. Anything that feels off or movements that the Misto might not notice looking directly at Orcos, but perhaps the rest of her would.
Sure. Make a perception check. With advantage.
Yay! The Themisto dice that I bought when visiting Dreamy is performing splendidly tonight. That is going to be a perception of 26.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
Perception happens to be the highest skill that Themisto has because of all of these.
The door opens, and as it opens for her to step into the other side, you see indeed a lit hearth, a brilliant crackling fire. On the wall above this hearth, something is painted with black ink. A strange circular pattern with scribblings on the inside, unfamiliar to anything that you have seen before. Organized around the hearth itself, you see a few sacks of something. They have odd shapes to them. One of them is slightly spilled over, and you see coins that are kind of spilled out on the floor. You see a few small, like incense-sized boxes of precious metals. You see some jars of what looks like oils. There is the briefest scent of something incensey about that room. Rich, sweet, woodsy. And then the door closes as she goes inside. Your perception also picks up a little bit of the 3 other commoners that have been in the room. Your eyes dart now and then to them just for a quick instant, and you see on their person that they have hands on hilts of swords. Nothing that looks new or well fashioned. It's just crude weapons that they have at their side as they seem to be watching you with a relaxedness, yet their hands are clenched tightly, white-knuckled almost on the hilts of their blades. But they have this like relaxedness to their body. In fact, they are so relaxed, their expression almost seems dazed. Your mind
Thought
goes
perhaps.
your mind goes to earlier, to the charm. And then it goes to the other young man. He leans up back against the counter behind Orcos, arms crossed. And it's easy for your eyes to occasionally dart just past Orcos' face because he seems to have you in his line of sight. And he has his head cocked to the side. And he just smiles, this warm, inviting, and yet somehow sickly smile. Like someone who knows a secret about you that nobody else knows. And yet he's willing to watch and listen. Like what is that expression? The cat that ate the bird or something like that. It's just like, it's just that one, just that look of like contentment. And I know a secret.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a I recognize you kind. It's just present somehow.
So, the Misto has channeled divinity read thoughts, but she doesn't know she has it yet because this is something that we got from leveling up.
Mhm.
Is there a moment in this this tension and this exchange of looking at and through and past one another, that perhaps she could start picking some of that up.
Where would you like to focus his attention?
Hmm. Boy, I have to wonder if I should go for Orcos or Minea. Let's.
Manea's left the room.
All
Do
right,
you have
then
to have line of sight?
we will read thoughts on Orcos.
Okay.
Now, for my channel divinity, he does have to make a wisdom saving throw. I wonder, does he notice if I fail?
Only one way to find out.
Just throwing out before there's a save, in case it works just like detect thoughts. He doesn't need to make any save for surface thoughts. You can just get those. It's reading deeper.
Okay, it says nothing about them noticing if I try and fail. And I can read the surface thoughts when it's within 60 feet of me for a minute.
Does it say anything about line of
And-
sight?
That's if it fails. It doesn't say anything about line of sight,
Ooh. So then maybe you could read Manea's thoughts.
just within 60 feet. So,
I guess then it's almost a matter of how about this? Roll me a Arcana or Religion check for me.
yeah, see, that would be good because the mister doesn't know that she knows how to do
Right,
this.
right.
So,
Leo
if
does.
we could have it kind of like auto trigger
Uh,
on somebody. Well, I finally rolled low.
No.
So my religion is going to be a 13.
13. All right, I am going to.
Would you like my inspiration?
I would take it if you gave it to me, but I
You have
will
it.
leave that to you.
You have it. Take it.
You said 13?
Laertes
yeah,
has
yeah.
given me his inspiration, so I'm gonna try to make good use out of it. I didn't do a great job of raising it, unfortunately, but it is up now to a 15.
Okay.
Respectable.
Your. Ooh, I like this. Your attention is so focused for a minute as your eyes visually scan. You look at Orko standing before you. And there is a moment where you can feel like you do that 1,000-yard stare where your eyes kind of like almost look through a person.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel the world kind of like warble and shift. And it kind of startles you for a moment, and your eyebrows kind of shoot up in a like almost questioning like. And you hear. No, you sense the minds of those around you. For just a brief moment, you sense Orokos' mind, and it's almost like this like radios for us radio, like a radio staticky like tuning into the radio kind of thing. It's just like this weird buzzing bees sound within your mind. A bee, or maybe it's the sound of scale sliding on stone. There is something grating, and you get a little bit into his mind, and it's just a brief little like pass over and through, and then you sense the young man behind him,
then you sense just on the other side of the room 2 other individuals on the other side of the wall from where you were at, and you get that like a buzzing feeling of Manea and then someone else here in this house. Interestingly enough, the 3 commoners, you don't sense their minds at all. It is a just static, but you hear like the beginnings of voices. So I'm gonna give you the opportunity to choose of those people. I rolled for each of them to see if they could beat a wisdom save to beat that thing, and the only ones who rolled above that 15 were the 3 commoners. Everybody else rolled below that, which makes sense because they are kind of like spaced at the moment anyway, so it actually works out. But everybody else, interestingly enough, are open for your focus, and so I will give you that ability to focus in on who Manea is talking to, Orcos, or the young man that's on the other side.
Gosh, interesting. Who's this other guy? He hasn't said anything yet.
The young man.
Let's go for that.
The young man.
Yeah. Is he the secret actual ringmaster of this?
You see that Orcos looks, and it all happens like super fast. Like his mouth is starting to open as if he's about to speak.
Yeah.
Orcos is, and then you focus past him just a moment on the person behind him and the young man. And he looks, and you hear in his mind, "Oh, curious. A follower of Apollo. Here. So close, I can almost taste it. Go, Orcos. Go, Orcos. You know what to do. You know what to say. Soon we will have our answers. Soon we will know."
Oh, I chose right, and I'm also terrified.
And he just, you hear this voice. It doesn't match what his face looks like. And you know you have heard his voice as he was speaking to the crowd and offering food. Sounds nothing like this. And you realize that with a cold shiver down your spine that look that he is looking at you with is hunger. And with that, we're going to move to everybody that's outside.
All right, SWAT team.
Well, actually, my first question is, do we know she went in there? Because she didn't communicate that she was doing it, but did we actually see it? Did we...
I think we saw her walk
I
in.
would imagine.
I think you
yeah.
said we saw
I
her.
mean,
Okay.
it's pretty easy to see Phoebe's panicked expressions as she's staring at this one house. So I don't see her like hiding that at all very well.
Yeah, because I think I said I kept eyes on Themisto as she entered,
Mhm. Just wanted to be sure.
and then had a very panicked prayer to both Gaia and Apollo.
Or whoever picks up.
So, to rehash what is happening on the outside, we have Phoebe that is over by the well, by the fountain, kind of. So you had stepped off to the
I
side,
started,
right?
I started walking towards Davos.
Davos, who is over by Laertes and Orinotis. Cypress, you had turned off your divine channel divinity, right? It's not
Yes.
channel divinity. Is it channel divinity?
I think it
That's
is.
a cleric thing. I don't know if it was.
It's
it applies.
Fabio here.
Yeah,
It's
couldn't-
called
think
the
it's-
same thing.
It's called
Yeah.
the same thing. Okay, I couldn't remember. So you have kind of like powered down from your Super Saiyan mode. The general Peleos, the Spartan general, is now standing over there by Laertes and Oretono, and Davos with them. And Xanthus had gone over to you, Cyprus, I believe. The general looks over. So, this is the individuals that you told me you had been traveling with. Correct, Davos? Yes. May I present to you, Laertes of Sagan and, our recent, companion, Oretano. And he turns around, and I suppose, like Phoebe, you're walking up right now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Phoebe of Corinth. The general turns to you, and he removes this large metallic helmet with the large, like, red mane of mohawk hair that he like takes off, puts it, like, holds it under his arm, and you see a weathered hobgoblin man who looks to be probably like late 40s, early 50s in age. The wrinkles of his skin kind of starting to set in around the corners of his face and mouth. The stress lines of his forehead being a lot more pronounced. His hairs are like matted down and sweaty from the helmet, and his ears kind of like flutter for a second, like he's just like shaking them off from being like squashed up against the helmet, kind of just relaxing a little bit. A pleasure to make your acquaintances. Davos was telling me a little bit about your journeying with a Pythia to be. Is that you, Phoebe?
No, Davos, did you see where she went?
Davos looks and looks at you, and then looks at the door and just kind of nods his head. She has gone to speak with Orcos, I suppose. Though I don't know why.
What information?
You see the general's eyebrow kind of raises a little bit. Information indeed. This Orcos is a little bit of a rabble-rouser. I hope that she has her wits about her.
What do you know about him?
Not a lot, aside from what he has been spouting these last few days of interesting times.
Do you know where he was, what he was doing before all this?
I do not. He seemed to have found his voice a lot more clearly once the sun had been obscured.
But it does not seem he is the one that did it, but is taking advantage of it.
If he is indeed as powerful as being able to shield the sun from our eyes, then it is curious that he has not made any more drastic moves. He does not strike me
Pretty
as
drastic.
he does not strike me as the type to sit and wait. But on the other hand, he kind of just seems like his thoughts kind of just wander. He's got like ...
How many of his people did you count?
It is hard to say these days. There were at first reports of a handful that would listen to his ravings. That did not try and throw stones at him at first. Over the last 2 days, however, he has grown in number. They have grown in number. 40,
I don't mean
50, 60 even.
I don't mean the crowds. I mean people who are directly under his thumb, working with or for him.
I will be honest, we have not been taking watch.
I understand. By my count, 5.
5 only? Curious.
Directly. The 2 attendants, the ones that were handing out the food.
Oh yes.
and 3
yes.
that were more dressed like the rest of the rabble, trying to fit in, but clearly acting more as eyes, ears, protection.
Hmm. I see.
That's only what I could see. Speaking of which, I'd like to spend a bit of time examining this, but we should be paying more attention to the house.
How long did we intend to give her?
If you wish, we can go and break down the door. That would be no problem.
Mm. May I
You-
suggest... Go ahead.
A few minutes at least.
Mm.
She is wise. She's under the protection of both Apollo and Gaia. She's under my protection if anything dumb does happen. Kick the door down myself.
To that end, maybe something slightly more subtle. Can we get better eyes on the house to see if there's any, even an ajar window? Doesn't have to be open, we don't have to see anybody, but I can just get an eye into the house. I can put someone in there with her.
Oh.
It would be easy for me to scry on the interior of the building from here. Just appreciate a little privacy. It can.
Davos mentioned.
I cannot.
Davos mentioned the fact that he was traveling with a interesting bunch.
Hmm.
I'm assuming that goes a lot more beyond that.
Normally we would value discretion, but situation is what it is.
There is one motive. And I'll spot Cypress and wave him over.
Yeah, Cypress was
I was gonna say,
kind
I
of
think
looking at the house one.
Yeah. See, hearing you say this, Laertes, he kind
Mhm.
of like seems to think about it for a second, and he does this like really specific like whistle, and you see that several of the other Spartans that were kind of close. There's like, I wouldn't say that there is necessarily a clump that is close to him, but there is, we'll say like 6 or 7 that were kind of close by, while the others had kind of fanned out throughout the immediate area. You see that those 6 or 7 begin to form like a circle around them with their faces outwards, and kind of like almost bring up shields, so they almost make like a
We got a huddle phalanx. That's awesome.
kind of something to that effect.
All right, troops, huddle up.
And they have their shields faced outwards. Make a perception check for me. So now
Near everyone.
everyone is fine.
Okay.
So now you
Natural 20.
now you 7.
Well,
Now you 7 are there. in the-
21.
Natural 20 for a total of
25.
25. Nice. Cypress,
well,
12. What was yours?
curse you -1.
Laertes.
An 8, but I'm gonna re-roll it because I can.
Okay.
Unnatural 25.
Ooh.
That's a shift from my 8.
I'll say above a 15. So I think the only one who rolled below that was Cypress. Above a 15, there is this strange resonance to the way you speak. It's almost like you're speaking within it almost echoes a little bit like you're speaking within a chamber. Your voices kind of like bounce around each other, but it doesn't. It gives you the feeling, and for Laertes, you have the feeling that your voices aren't going to go much further than beyond the line of shields that have presented themselves around. There's almost a buzz to the air. It's almost like your voices are kind of caught in this like metallic armor shield cage.
I imagine it's if anyone has ever seen actually, I'm pretty sure everyone here has seen these pictures where it's what's called an anechoic chamber. It has all these like weird angles built into the texture, so it just destroys the travel of sound. Where you can almost hear your blood going through you because it changes the sound of the room, like mutes it down so far.
Ooh, that's wild. I had not heard of that before.
Yeah, they do it for a lot of product testing and stuff. And I imagine it's a little like this, but just maybe a little more tinny or something. But just that's freaking cool.
Own of silence from Get Smart, so this is way better.
That's what I was thinking about too.
Like Spartan's got some cool stuff, man.
What was I gonna say? Let me do this one. Yeah, this is fine.
I never thought I would get to write this sentence in my life. Spartan anechoic chamber phalanx. I'm so happy.
I was gonna say you look positively giddy right now.
I love nerdy bullshit like this. That's why I play this character.
Like they form this the phalanx of silence, and they are now in around you. Is there another name that I should call you by, or were the names given to me by Davos your actual names?
Davos, did you give him our actual names?
He nods. I mean, he had introduced you as Laertes and Phoebe, and he used their actual names, but it's more the general is asking more of if you
group.
Well, no, more of if you are god, basically insinuating if you are gods that are going by a name that was told.
Never known any other name.
I have known many others.
That
but
is
this one
not
the
an
longest.
insult, at least.
What was that, Orto?
I have known many other names, but this one the longest.
Well. So, do you foresee some sort of trouble with this Orcos? My king has commanded that we keep his evening congregations short and sweet, just for the safety of those out at after hours. The countryside
We've been told that the cult of Phobos has been growing here. This does seem to be
Phobos.
the cult of fear.
I'm familiar with the name. We have a temple for Phobos here. A small one. But they have never caused any sort of trouble before.
And before being the word, they are growing, speaking out against the gods, trying to sow chaos and fear. And this seems to be the center point for the disappearance of the sun. It spreads out from Sparta.
I must admit that up until now, his words have seemed rather harmless. There have been many a rising cult that has come in and claimed one thing or another, though this is the first time that they have bolstered their words with the signs from the heavens.
They have caught the attention of those from the heavens.
I cannot claim to know the...
Come to Sparta for a reason. Not that we are from the heavens, but we have been pointed here.
I see. By...
Friends.
Of course. Friends.
Those who want to see life continue.
Are things so serious?
Seems to be.
I know
It's
that
not just a rabble rouser this time.
I
Like
know.
Laertes just kind of just looks up at the sky and then looks at him and just that like the most Spartan laconic answer that he can give a Spartan.
I know that the countryside has become filled with peril and monsters, and unfortunately, some of the streets are as well. But I did not see it as much more than a passing momentary darkness that either the gods or we can handle on our own. Do you
It is all
foresee-
connected, sir.
Do you foresee deeper problems?
Yes.
Already have. We come from fighting these monsters and dealing with not quite this darkness, but its source in a number of different places. And our friends who pointed us here have a vested interest in all parts of the world. And this darkness threatens all of it.
We can talk about it more in depth a bit later. I think we need to get eyes, potential ears on the situation.
My fear is that there's a network under the house and that they could whisk her away if they overpowered her.
It was once just a Ferdier's house. There's unlikely anything that nefarious going on deep below, but it has been some time since we have seen the furrier that once lived there.
Oh.
Not underestimate this group.
We've all seen Stranger Things. He's pointing up at the sky.
It was a good show. I did enjoy it so far.
I did too.
That kid's gonna be
It's very
30 in the
popular in
next season.
Thebes.
Well, do you want us to do this our way, or do you have something special in mind?
I'm going to look at Ortono because he had mentioned something.
You just reread the description of this spell very quickly.
I mean, I could knock on the door.
So I can cast my vision anywhere I like for a short time.
Davos looks nervously. I am sure that Phoebe would agree, but the longer that she is in there, the more I begin to worry. Although, I also know that Themisto is quite capable of handling herself, and that if indeed she is in trouble, or that they begin to try anything on her, they won't be long for this world and will be sent on their way to Hades soon enough.
Well, all I'll say is every Spartan is a formidable warrior, but they are more formidable when they fight alongside each other, yes?
There is a look. The general looks over at Davos with a raised eyebrow, like, oh. And then you see Davos just beaming with pride.
Hmm.
He just kind of like nods. Does a little little anime. The general does a lowercase whisper, a lower toned whistle. I don't know, my mind.
No caps.
Oh god, my brain sometimes.
Did I make the Hobgoblin General blush? Is that why he can't do words?
Yeah, I know. Woo. No, he just does
Science
a lower.
Senpai noticed me.
He does just a lower audible. Oh god, whisper. I almost said whimper, and it was like, this is not getting any better. Lower audible whisper, and the Spartan circle begins to break up, and they kind of open up a space, and there's that reverberation that kind of begins to cease as that circle is broken. he just kind of gestures, and then he starts to shout a couple, not shout, just like bark a couple of orders, just quick words, and you see that the Spartans close by begin to file out 2 by 2. They gonna take a round point at different corners here of the little square, but they kind of give you guys space.
Mm.
What are you guys doing?
I say we go with Oretono's plan. Certainly at first.
Well, can we also do this where we might be able to have physical eyes on the situation? Guess we need to act on whatever it is you see in there.
Perhaps. She should find some partially secluded location so as to not have anyone witness this invocation of power.
Okay.
General, could you potentially requisition us a space if we need it? With eyes on the building.
I was just going to go hide in a doorway.
I mean, most of these buildings
Whatever.
are occupied by people. If we barge in, they will acquiesce, but probably protest, and your amount of secrecy that you are seeking would probably be lost.
Fair enough.
We could climb to the rooftops, but I caution you, the rooftops have not been safe as of late. Oh,
The
had you-
actual
had you not heard?
integrity, or
This close to the outskirts of the city, there have been a few disappearances, particularly from rooftops. Things.
anyone have been shouting about harpies?
It would seem to make sense that harpies would be involved. No one has said anything, but that's because no one has seen anything. There's simply people going to the rooftops and disappearing. But this, as I said, has been on the outskirts of town, which we are fair enoughly close to. We are not afraid of harpies. If you wish to go to the rooftops, we will go with you and make sure that you are safe. But just be warned that the darkness out here at the outskirts of town is a little more intense. You will find yourself hard-pressed to see.
You kind of have to marvel at the
Whichever.
fact that despite this like rather dour kind of news, he delivers it in such a like matter-of-factly way that there's like, it's almost like, oh wait, you're not worried? None of this seems to bother you or worry you. It's just kind of like, people disappear lately. You know, it's just a thing.
Happens.
I mean, the less said about the like Spartan upbringing, maybe that's for the best.
Yeah, I'm just gonna duck in between two buildings, or something like that, and cast clairvoyance.
Nice. Do you try and hide yourself a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured we're just gonna go wherever Oratono can best do this discreetly, and if we gotta do the non-magical filing and kind of just stand in front.
Standing behind. Yeah, nothing. No.
What's going on over there?
Nothing.
Squishy.
Need me to roll anything?
Hold on.
Is clairvoyance?
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Cool. There is a building on the opposite way of the small storefront that Themisto has walked into. You find a shadowed alcove, which, mind you, the light that is here, even the torchlight, is dim. Like, it is truly an oppressive darkness that has now invaded most of this neighborhood. It is the sounds that you make and the sounds that anybody, especially like the soldiers, because each of the soldier groups is carrying their own torch, but it's almost like this weird dark fog that is over the area, and even as the further apart that they spread, the more it seems to eat away at the edges of that light, and you can hear each other clearly. So it's this weird, like, you know how normally with fog it's like that muted sound to things. It doesn't have that. It's just like the light itself is being absorbed, and it seems just oppressively dark in the corners, but it gives you perfect opportunity to hide in the shadows. But there's also that feeling of like what you can't see seems to just lurk. It's like when you look into a dark closet, and even though you might know that nothing is there, it just feels like there is something watching you. It's that kind of feeling. Truly inspiring. Okay. So I was just reading over clairvoyance. So, that is obvious looking. So you can do it behind a door. So this is perfect for you. You don't even have to see inside. Which, to that effect, as you're approaching this house, Laertes and the rest of the and company, you see that the windows are shut. Like they are either shuttered, or there's cloth that hangs over them. There's nothing visible on the inside. You even see that what looks like the back of the house, the windows are boarded shut. So your ability to use clairvoyance is indeed a really good one. So are you choosing seeing or hearing?
I think I'm going to start it with seeing and then switch it to hearing almost immediately once I get the lay of the room.
Okay. So your first bloop. First of all, what does your magic casting look like? Or like, how would you imagine it would appear to everybody else?
Yeah, Oratono reaches into his pocket and pulls out, looks like a small glass ball, like a large marble size, and holds that in one of his hands and gestures over it and mutters some invocation, and then you can see the inside of the marble starts to shift into what's, from any perspective other than his, a horribly distorted, like fisheye view of what it is seeing.
Nice.
Which then probably turns off once it switches to hearing.
Okay. For a brief moment, you see, as was described earlier, that rectangular storefront room. You see Themisto, and I hesitate because I keep wanting to say Iskra or whatever, but you see Themisto. On the inside, you see Orcos. You see the a man leaning against the counter behind them, and then to his left, the three individuals that Laertes had spoken of, and nothing else in the room. It's just that empty room, right? No one else is inside. And immediately you switch to audio, and that sight vanishes. And what you hear is this. As we go back to Themisto. Your mind had just heard that hungering individual. and then you focus out for that second, if you wish, as Orcos is talking to you again.
Mm.
Your arrival in Sparta, did you come with anyone else, or did you travel here alone?
I had companions on their way, but they were separated from me in the dark.
Almost a lie, but almost the truth too. You sneaky devil. He is going to make an insight check.
Not false.
No, it's not. So I will let you choose how you
Counter.
yeah.
Okay. Since I get to choose, I would be foolish not to use it as a persuasion instead of a deception because she's way better at that. So we're gonna go ahead and use rolling high on this lovely dice yet again. Thank you. I had a couple low ones. We're back, riding the roller coaster. That is going to be a 24.
24. Okay. Yeah. He
That was
just
an
kinda
18
yeah.
dice.
Nice.
He just nods.
I see. Unfortunate that you had to travel the rest of the way alone, especially during these times of uncertainty.
Makes it all the more important for me to know.
And what is it that you wish to know?
The nature of this, of all of this.
I wish I could say. Phobos is a curious creature. He has enlightened many of us and has spoken of things that we ought to pay attention to. Creatures of the land and air. Signs from the skies, stars, and sun. Everything that you see happening now is but signs that a change is imminent.
He speaks to you.
Yes. Would you wish to meet him?
It
That can
meet?
be. Go ahead.
a power like that, who are any of us to be worthy?
You will find that Phobos is not like the other gods. He does not sit in a pious chair high above and lord it over the rest of us. He only wishes that we all be free. He has seen the gods for what they are. Frauds. Powerful frauds.
There's something about the way he says that, and it pains your heart a little bit because to some extent you know he is telling the truth. Even though everything that you have been raised on screams at you otherwise. Everything that you have learned within the last few weeks, it is a twisted version of the truth, but it is the truth. I know that someone such as yourself that has probably spent a lot of time worshipping Apollo, this might come as a shock. Perhaps even blasphemy. But it is true. And soon, more than you would imagine, will know. They will know that these gods are not who they claim to be. And then we will truly see who has the power.
I'm going to play into the I've been charmed by Minea aspect and go, then what must we do?
We must continue to tell others. The gods rely on our power. They have a measure of it themselves, but the more that the others believe in them, the more powerful they become, the more power they gain. If we are truly to be on an even level, as incredulous as that may sound, people must be free of their belief that we owe them everything. We outnumber them. But this is a lot of serious talk for your first night learning the truth. I know that under normal circumstances, priestesses do not carry riches with them. And I would not ask of you a donation that you are not able to give, but every little bit helps to spread the word. And if we are to journey to Thebes, then it will take some money to acquire a suitable transportation and perhaps a little bit of protection. As I'm sure you have noticed, the roads are not as safe as they once were.
We go to Thebes.
You wish to meet Phobos, do you not?
This is my wish, yes.
Then a few more days' time to gather supplies. We will travel to Thebes.
The people who call me a monster. You don't necessarily need money for a guard. I could get one.
Oh.
And her snakes will rise up a little bit.
There's a little bit of a smile on his face. Truly, you are a resourceful one, aren't you?
I have to be.
I would invite you to come, and as he's about to speak, the handsome individual puts a hand on his shoulder, and leans over and whispers into his ear. Ah. His eyes go past you, Themisto, for a brief moment. And then he turns back to you. Offers his hand out. He bends forward and gives it a small kiss on the back of your hand. Go with my blessing, child. Return to where you are staying tonight. Tomorrow, return. We can speak more in the morning. It has been a long night, and I'm sure you have much to think about.
Thank you for welcoming me.
Oh. He turns just as the door opens. And Manea comes out, and she walks up with this like sultry motion, and she comes over to you, and there's like a small clay vessel that has a lid on the top, and you can see a little bit of steam rising up, and she hands it over to you. Here, something to fill your belly. A warm stew prepared by our cook.
Thank you. Smells mesmerizing.
She's a magnificent being of culinary expertise. She's traveled from far and has learned much about the use of spices. Truly, you will never have felt anything so delectable in your mouth.
Oh.
She goes over, and it's very interesting. You see on one side of Orcos, the young man, and the girl sidles up beside him on the other side. And there is, well, make a insight check for me.
All right, let's do this. Don't fail me now. Could be good, could be bad. I just need my character sheet to come up. I've got pretty high insight. 16.
Their presence together as a unit, it feels imposing almost. Like they almost seem to grow. They don't actually grow, but this like the aura that they have seems to just grow and get big and imposing, and you feel like not unwillingly, but almost like subconsciously you take a step backwards, and they take a step forward. Do you take another step backwards?
I have the food and the door to be able to leave, right?
The door is to your back. It's like 10 feet behind you.
Then, yes.
You take a step back, and they take a step forward. They take another step back, and they take another step forward. It is almost as if you get like a flash in your mind of a lion stalking its prey as its prey backs itself into a corner. But you know that you have a way out. And yet still you kind of can't help but feel your sweat on your arms begin to pool and bead as like that nerves and your heart starts beating
Mhm.
faster as one unit they take just steps forward to match your steps backward until you get to the door. And though you have the jar in one hand, the other hand reaches to the back to kind of try and find the knob, the latch, anything the side of the door, and you find it and you creak it open.
Sleep well. We will speak tomorrow.
And it's in that creepy, like, as the head tilt, you see all three of their heads tilt in the same way.
Uh-huh.
And you find yourself outside the door as it shuts.
Misto's gonna take some deep breaths. And I'm sure at that point, at that end moment there, she was trying her hardest to keep her snakes from freaking out and betraying her. Um, since they often show her emotions. And she'll touch one to comfort it and her self. And turn around from this door and think about where she needs to go now, because is she being watched?
You
How
turn.
can she contact her friends, you know?
You turn around, and now for everybody who has been staring at this house so intently, you see the door open and Themisto literally backing herself out and closing the door behind her. And you can she pauses and hesitates for a moment before she like turns around and seems to compose herself and starts to look around.
Touch my snakes and then put my hood back up with one hand, I guess, because I'm holding the jar.
You see across the way from the shadows the flickering lights of torches that like light up into the like all around the neighborhood, and then as your eyes kind of focus and adjust to what you're seeing, you see some of them from across the way, I'm assuming, move towards her.
Slowly and carefully, but yes, in case she is being watched.
I got 10 minutes on this thing, so I'm gonna keep that going.
Okay.
I'm going to take I'll walk back and sit on the fountain edge for a minute, and I'll set the jar down near me and take out my wax tablet and begin to write on it. Just a note to myself. And then I'll stand up again and start walking, and
At this point, I will walk to meet you in whatever direction you head.
okay. As I'm walking, I am going to whoever I see first. It's Phoebe. I'm gonna walk, and because it's dark, I'm gonna bump into her. And I go, oh, sorry. And I'll flip the wax tablet and it's folds around so that it is facing her, and it says they go to Thebes and then there are 3, and also Phobos. Sorry, it's dark. I didn't see you there. I have to go home now.
I'll squeeze your hand very tightly. May the light guide you in the darkness.
Thank you. She'll squeeze your hand too. And try to go find a place to stay, I guess.
Can I go find Davos?
You
I
muted.
can't hear you. Aaron, we can't hear you.
Oops,
So what
sorry.
did you say about Thebes?
She didn't. She had written it.
Right.
Oh.
I know Cypress wouldn't know, but I'm making sure that.
They
I
want to go
didn't
to
listen.
Thebes.
Okay. Thank you.
So the what was I gonna say? The moment that she comes out and you guys see Phoebe following her, what is everybody else doing? Because I can tell you what the general and the soldiers are going to be doing, but it could change.
Cypress was probably looking on from a
And-
different vantage point, just at the building, saw Themisto emerge, but probably didn't leave his spot immediately, and is now just kind of curiously in the dark trying to see this interaction.
You know what? I've got spells. I'm going to use Ascending, and I've used it to pray to the gods. It's always been prayer. But we're coming into our own. I'm going to try to sending one of the other members of the group who hasn't approached me yet.
Okay.
Let's try to sending Laertes. Because the way that we communicated with Hecate was he helped me with some of the geometry that made me think of the sacred geometries. So I will end up on this wax tablet that I just bumped into Phoebe with, start etching into that as I walk to sending Laertes and say Laertes, and she has no idea if this is gonna work. It's like Orcos is strong, but Sister Menea and a young man are the true evil. They go to Thebes to meet Phobos. They ask I come. To help other people make the decision about what we do now, because I see it a few different ways.
Laertes, the general leans over to Laertes as you are also receiving this message at the same time.
Oh, great. So I'm trying to pay attention to this, and I got this barking general in my ear.
Is that the one that we were waiting on?
That's And he sort of like holds out his hand to him to kind of like give me a sec while he's like steadying himself on the wall trying to listen to the message. And I think he'd probably be a little jarred by it at first because I don't think he's actually ever received a message that way before.
Yeah.
I don't think Hecate sent him anything like that either.
Mm-mm.
So this is very new. But I feel like because he helped Themisto do the initial cast at one point, that he at least, after a few seconds, kind of gets it. He's hearing her voice, he's doing a thing, and he's just... Okay, I gotta think about how to word this now. Understood. How can we help you?
Ooh. Am I allowed to respond?
You would have to cast again.
Okay.
Because I think it's you cast once, I'm allowed to respond, and then it's basically like you have to use the walkie-talkie every time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about like what else I can say or ask in that moment, so you're not wasting more spell slots. Because that was 5 words. I had 20 more. I kind of just blindly grab for... I guess I'd be next to Oratono. Actually, how do I say that? It's Oratono? Is that the correct way?
Whatever
That's
you
the way
like.
Themisto said. But she also had the word beasts and beasts could be used for people, so...
I'm just gonna almost sort of blindly touch his shoulder and just... She's communicating with me. I'm trying to think about what to say to her. They want to go to Thebes. This is going to fade very, very quickly. What else do I ask?
After she left, I heard the young man inside say that he was looking forward to seeing her and her eyes, and that she seems promising. Perhaps important to communicate.
Oratono says, the young man thinks you are promising, wants to see your eyes. Please advise.
Over.
And
I hope this email finds you well.
as per my last
No. Regards.
and
Yours.
yeah,
Aaron, I just have a
Cheese.
quick. The creature things we've fought in the past, they had a lot of eyeballs, if I'm remembering correctly. Or am I making that up? It's been a very long time since we fought the original goopy things.
A lot of our things, so we fought had eyes, yeah.
But like extra eyes.
Too many. More than you might
Yes,
expect.
many. Not.
Okay, great, cool.
yep, and
He likes her eyes.
yeah, and with that,
I want 'em.
we're gonna go to break. Give me them ojos. Even the hills had them. Nice, Hannah. Nice.
The Misto does definitely outnumber the eye count of any one of us.
It's true.
Also true. Also true.
She was Beldura all along.
Oh no.
That would be a wild twist. She's
The eyes
gathering
have
the
it.
shards.
No. All right, guys. We're gonna go to break real quick. It is 9, so we'll just do a quickie break. We'll refill our waters and go to the bathroom and stuff, and we will be right back. So don't go nowhere, cause you're gonna want to see this stuff. Yeah. Oh God.
Ika KS Upstar. Jut Gaoda. Ianen ad omzeme ad om erpasim. I have waited long enough. They will hear me, or they will all perish.
Wee. Wait, what is it that you all say all the time? Leedle, 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 leedle.
Who says that when?
That sounds
I don't
like
know.
You
It's
guys
a
all the
SpongeBob
time.
reference that happens in group chat every so
Yeah,
often.
that sounds like something Kindred might do, but Marcus is brain damaged, but
Oh, poor little Marcus, we love you. Mostly.
Miss you, Kindred.
Okay. Nice. We are back. Let's see here. So, Themisto, you hear that last little bit of a message that Laertes has sent back to you. Following, I'm assuming Phoebe, you're not terribly, you're like keeping her within eyesight as you're walking.
Yeah, but I also want to try to make sure that Davos is tracking her as well.
Oh yeah. Basically, like within eyesight behind you is like Davos, Xanthus, and the others. the Spartans are kind of like.
As long as
It's like
I can confirm that they are also following her, I'll do my keep a distance thing.
Okay. Well, they're following you. They
Okay.
at the moment can't see Themisto. As you're going deeper into the city, Themisto, you're kind of starting to like not necessarily wander, but you're kind of trying to remember, okay, as you walked to this, because you were on the opposite side of the city, as you're kind of meandering your way deeper into the city, at least, because you're you know that it's at least a little brighter there. There's a lot more torches. There's the braziers. I almost said braziers again. The braziers, and even a couple of like these large bonfires closer to the center of the city, where there is more light and there's more people. So you're at least heading in that general direction. As far as the rest of you, the general turns to Laertes and is like, is asking you basically if you're supposed to follow or what the next play is.
I would be looking to Orotono, who seemed to have some sort of handle on the situation that I was lacking.
I know a place where we can reconvene if we don't want to go back to the home of that lovely gentleman that we met earlier today, and I'll fire off a message to Themisto.
Okay.
And I'm staying at a villa not far from here. It's in the merchant's quarters, and you can get to it by going to their directions follow.
That was brilliant. Love that.
Perfect. I'll make sure I turn right when I get to the.
I think all messages and sendings now need to be done with the Peanuts muted trumpet sound.
I'm gonna send a message to you, Themisto. Basically, the information that I had given to Oret to know about where he is staying. So that would be like a rundown of basically what he would have told you. To a lesser degree, but at least you know the names of the people who you're supposed to be looking for.
Perfect.
Okay. That's done. All right. The general is going to turn to, as you guys, I'm assuming, start moving away from your little hiding spots.
Trying to filter out a little more covertly, or at least casually disperse.
I am going to assume that you have a plan in mind. I will return to the king and notify him of a little bit of what has transpired this evening. I assume that perhaps I can count on you and your friends to return to the palace at some point, either tonight or tomorrow.
I was going to ask if we could find a way to have an audience at some point, but yes, thank you.
Of course. I am sure that King Xenophon will be eager to hear the tales that you have, particularly of the Pythia to be and what she has uncovered, if anything.
We'll share what we can, but we also have to abide a certain amount of discretion.
Of course. I will see you soon then.
Thank you for your help tonight.
He nods, barks out a couple more commands, and you see that most of the soldiers have started to gather together, but not all. There are two groups that kind of stay behind as they start to march out. Two stay on the opposite side, and then two kind of just seem to be not making any hurry, but they basically look like they're leaving some behind to kind of watch the place in the most covert, uncovert possible way.
I mean, realistically, it doesn't need to be that covert.
I mean,
it's
no.
a public square. It's their city. They're just keep an eye on the area where previous shenanigans have gone on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like it's just in the sense of the guards are like trying to look casual, but not looking casual, if that makes any sense. So
They're all JoJo posing. Got it. I can hear the soundtrack, and it's just so perfect for Spartan Hobgoblins right now.
All right. So,
Makes me think of the stakeout from the Acolyte.
Yep. Yes. Beautiful. Okay. Oret, to know, I'm assuming that you guide Cypress Laertes to where you are going. Davos, Xanthus, following close enough to Phoebe, they start to kind of like hurry their steps a little more and get a little closer to you until they're within theater stage whisper range of like, where is she going?
I don't know, but I'm not going to let her out of my sight.
They kind of stay about like 10 paces back behind you, but they the streets are getting quieter as people are starting to go within doors. You see, you pass a couple of guards that they're not necessarily like patrolling, but they're kind of just like walking through the streets and encouraging gathered groups of citizens to go return to their homes. They look over to you briefly, but they can tell that you are walking with a purpose, so they don't feel like they have to really approach you, as it looks like you're rushing home yourself. Themisto, what is going through your head right now? I mean, I know where you're going, but what is going through your head?
Yes.
I'm curious.
I have to decide how to do this. The three of them. And they felt so unified when they were together. But I think that one, the young one, I think he is the one who is running this show. This play. that they are putting on for me, as I am for them.
You pass through streets that become more, not cramped, but they're just more built up upon. The center of Sparta has a small, steepish hill that has partially against it is the theater of Sparta, and the fortress that sits on top close by. There's it's like part fortress, part palace. Both of the kings live in a building that is not like off to the side of it, but they hold audiences at the top. So it's one of those like center points that you can use to like navigate. The House of the Weaver is on the eastern side of the city. The directions you were given is like the western side, so you're on opposite sides of this space.
I see.
I will share a map with you guys here after the stream, though you guys can get a better picture of the general vicinity and things.
Cool.
So as you are going through this area, it is a like mid-range as far as like mid-class area. It is not like rich, but it is not the poorer side that you had just been to. But you find the house that you are looking for, a modest little villa that sits relatively on its own compared to the other surrounding buildings, so it's got a little measure of privacy. A lot of the buildings here, or housing here, is kind of like stacked apartments and such, so that the buildings are all like they share walls as they kind of just continue along the sides. This space kind of seems to have its own little mini courtyard and like a couple of trees around it. It's a nice little home. Make a perception check for me.
Ooh. That's only a 17 this time.
You check the streets around you. This area is dark, but you don't see anybody else that seems to have been following you this length of time, minus Phoebe. And you get to the shadowed part of the doorway. Like it's almost like a gate with a door before you get. It lets you into like a small yard that would get you to the villa door itself. You can kind of like slink into the shadow there around the side to await as Phoebe approaches. Or what else would you like to do? If anything.
Yeah, I'll just wait.
Okay. So then Phoebe, you approach.
Mm-hmm. Fancy meeting you here.
Themisto is gonna give her a big hug. Where is everybody?
They're coming. And Phoebe will turn that hug into a kiss.
You see coming around the corner, Davos and Xanthus. They get probably within like 20 feet, and then they stop. Because as Davos like holds his hand out to the side to stop Xanthus, he like looks around and then looks to you, Themisto, and kind of gives you the questioning like, "Do we approach?" Kind of like.
Yeah, Themisto's gonna signal, and as she like shifts her head to like nod and come over, all the snakes also kind of go bloop.
They come up to you, and for probably one of the first times, Davos breaks protocol a little bit and embraces you.
I give him a hug back.
He looks at you. I would ask, with all due respect, that you never do anything like that again.
I have to agree with Davos on this one.
I hope I don't have to. They want to see me again.
What happened?
He will tell you everything, but let's wait for the others.
Are they meeting you here? Where is here anyway?
I got a sense that this is where Oretano is staying in Sparta. That it would be a good place for us to meet. That is apart from the other important place that we are going to be.
I see. Xanthis. They whispered something to each other, and then they kind of like look around, like, "We will be right back." And they both like go in separate directions, as it seems like they are going to walk around the building just to kind of like inspect this place.
Good deal.
That's where we don't want everyone else to show up. Phoebe will
The
look
Secret Service.
Basically.
at the Misto and say, "I did not know I could live without a heart in my chest. And then I saw it walk into the building. And I was worried it would not come back."
This is just gonna kiss you again. She doesn't have words for it. I won't leave you behind again.
I will try to keep my big mouth shut when we are supposed to be undercover next time.
It might have been just the chance I needed. They were, sure, more happy to see me after they faced some resistance from others.
It doesn't take long before you hear approaching footsteps again, and you see Cypress, Laertes, and Oretano coming around the corner over to where you are.
Glad to see you're all right.
I am so happy to see that shining shield of yours, Cypress.
A lot duller in the dark.
And yet I know how you keep it.
I was worried they'd whisk you down some tunnel or out a way that we couldn't follow if we were not looking.
Not so far. But I'm just gonna look to everybody. Hopefully the message got across, but they want to take me to meet Phobos in Thebes.
So are we outside or are we having
Outside.
moved inside? Okay.
No.
Let's continue inside.
Oretano, you know the way to open the gate.
You've got the Airbnb code.
Yeah. It's the last 4 digits of my phone number.
Literally
1111.
Literally, as I sent to him the information of this place, I called it Ye Old Ancient Greek Airbnb. So you're not far off.
Beta and beta, come on.
Okay. So as you enter in, you get to the door, and a older hobgoblin man. Oh wait, actually, hold on. I think no, human. Sorry, I was reading my wrong notes. An older human man, about in his 60s, has a like little gas or oil lamp, I should say, as he like lifts in the shadows. Oretano, is that you?
And is this Bardas or
Yeah.
Damalis?
Bardas.
Bardas! I bring some friends who just arrived from out of town. I hope you have space. I'm sorry I did not ask first.
Unusual, but Of course we have space. Who are your friends?
Oh, yeah, let's come inside. I will introduce you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Come in.
He like opens the door. They're like, you can see this house is already darkened, and the parents who had gone to bed already, and the child comes in past the curfew kind of scenario. Like everything's kind of dark except for the lamp. He goes over and he lights up another little lamp, and it brightens up. What is it like a couple more little candle lights like pop up and start flickering around this entryway space.
I'm sorry. It would take me but a moment to prepare the other rooms, just freshen them up a little bit. But please come in and make yourselves at home. Any friends of Oretono's will be friends of ours as well.
Thank you.
Do not mention it.
We apologize for arriving so late.
I'm happy that you made it safely. Please come sit down here in the room, and I will go and freshen up the beds. As I said, Damalis is sleeping, so just my wife. I am Bardas. My wife Damalis and I own this little villa. Make yourself comfortable. Just keep it down a little bit. You know how she gets cranky.
Sorry, what's her name
Of course,
again?
of course.
Damalis and Bardas. I will put it in chat. Oops, that's not how you type. Okay. Dope. Okay. You guys have a moment to
So,
sit.
as not to belabor the point, since everyone was here for it, although the characters weren't, Misto relates what occurred, and makes sure to point out that the individuals who seem like more ringleaders of this whole thing, how she felt an intense draw to Minea, and that she thinks that she held some sway over the common men in the room, and that it was that their minds weren't their own, and that as she was speaking to Orcos, she heard or sensed some sort of hungering presence from the young man who was nearby. And so if they need to focus on anybody, it needs to be him.
Question: was the young man part of the cadre I noticed,
Mhm.
or
It was he and Minea that were
okay? I
handing
was making
food
sure
out.
that wasn't another person. All right.
Yeah.
So what I'll
Um,
do is, as she is going through the story, explaining what one person did or another, it's just the group, right? It's not the Airbe and Beta owners.
Correct.
Okay.
You can hear him
Um,
kind of like in one of the other rooms is like he knocks over something accidentally, but he's just like
Mm.
bringing fresh blankets and that
Mm.
sort of thing.
I'm just going to sort of quickly fan out this holographic image of each face, sort of in a line. And as she's talking about it, I'll make it's almost like sort of rotating through character selection, where it's just whichever one is more prominent in her relaying the story, that'll rotate the front of the camera, kind of thing. Little well, because we're in Greece, it's like a little like disembodied holographic bust.
That's perfect.
Beautiful.
You don't happen to have a model of thieves, do you? I don't know where Phobos is, and she's gonna look at Cypress as she's saying this. They say he is there. But we're going to travel to meet him. Aiming to secure a guard first. Yeah. Volunteered my intimidating presence to get one for them.
If he's already there, maybe it's just a piece, maybe. But even then, Thebes is still so far off. I don't know how we can reach it soon
And
enough.
there is still the problem of the sun, which unfortunately I was not able to discern in my initial conversation with them. What it is that is happening here in Sparta. And if they move, if this will move with them, this darkening.
My heart wants me to leave now. To head to Thebes at once. But whatever distance I could make on my own is not reasonable or effective. I don't know what to do.
Well,
Whatever it is, I don't think it is Phobos, as they would know him to be. Ares told us that Phobos was consumed by the plague in the fall. This is some trick of Beldora.
perhaps.
But we've seen that at least there is a semblance of something left behind. Not always, but evidence of a corruption rather than a full subsuming of the entity.
They said something else too. It is, as we have seen in our previous encounters with the cult, they seem that they have this need to prove the gods wrong wherever they go, and they spoke as if the gods derive power from the act of worship, which it speaks to me on a level, but in fact, in the times I have spoken to Gaia, she seemed almost surprised, as if my belief in her had manifested this presence. I wonder if they spoke not in just a way of saying, but if there is more truth behind it, in that evoking the name of Phobos where they go, and they try to build its strength, well, they diminish the strength of the gods.
That they are actually making him what we felt the others were.
I am not sure, but it is something to consider as we determine our next move. Perhaps this darkness, perhaps it grows with the belief of the people in Sparta. The more they convince, the darker the sky becomes. This is, of course, a very, the view of a priestess. Perhaps we need the view of more grounded minds. And she'll kind of look at Phoebe and Laertes.
Out of character real quick. Did we know the order of events that led to Astra meeting Astrid? Was that ever full?
I don't remember. I was
Okay.
wondering that myself because I was like,
I was thinking about
Because
that too.
that's I think highly relevant here. I don't know if that was fully communicated to us.
I don't think so.
I think there was. I think as far it was. I think as far as I remember, the only thing Astrid had told you guys was that Astra had been surprised to hear from her as well, but not the
Which
full
would line up to Gaia.
Okay.
I
There
believe so.
is a lot of discussion on belief fueling power or a person. And there has to be a certain amount of truth to it. And things started to change for each of us as we started to believe not just blindly, but in the reality of the situation and ourselves. And those things have grown. So too, I imagine channeling that belief into fear and destructive forces. You could create an awful, awful feedback loop. You show people a reason to be fearful, they will be fearful. And that thing that they are afraid of, whether metaphorically or literally, gains more power. There can be some truth to the idea.
Yes, but we need the heart of whatever this truth is. This one that we must fix. And that I do not know. I suppose if I am taken to Phobos, then I skip a step.
Do we
If you
think...
do,
Please.
if you do accompany them, I suggest, of course, extreme caution even goes without saying, but the last thing I heard before my clairvoyance expired was Orcos asking the young man, or rather making a statement, I hope you heard what you wanted to hear.
I got a sense that the young man was directing Orcos' words, that they were trying to read me, and trying to get something out of the things that I was saying.
Did you mention you served Apollo?
It was inescapable. I had to use it to my advantage. I wear it on my sleeve. So
I think that presents
The best
even bigger
ruses-
danger for you.
The best ruses are based in truth.
so it may seem. No, I don't have much experience with such things.
Cypress has a grim look on his face as he's kind of looking down at the floor. Do we think we can take the three out? Perhaps with the help of the Spartan army. We have precedent. We can track them. Maybe we can take them out now.
You
It said-
see a eureka smile sort of blossom across Laertes' face for a moment. If they are using honeyed words to influence people beyond what is natural, we might have a way of preventing their words from traveling.
Killing the speaker.
The speaker didn't seem to have the power, according to Themisto. But that is the short and long of it. If we could get our phalanx friends to surround this Minea, might keep her from being able to influence anyone else for a moment. At that moment, I could either try to disrupt influence she's already placed, while
They-
others are harrying her.
They have a strength when unified. If there is a way that we could separate them from one another, we might have a better chance.
Mhm.
Can we do something so public? Our fights have been on abandoned isles and destroyed cities in the past.
This
There is no
maybe-
hiding what we are if we act here in the public.
That might be to the benefit. If they've been operating on a feedback loop that is feeding this, if that theory is even remotely correct, having that so publicly fought, decried, destroyed, giving people a sense of clarity and hope might dissuade that. If people see it begin to recede, that relief, that lack of fear might just quench it.
Perhaps our own, or at least my own, attempt to sway the crowd away did not work. But perhaps it was context that made it not work. Maybe if I start my own public giving away of food and hope and attempt to imitate what this Orcos individual's been doing, that would give us at least potentially some more of a public showing. They might show up to decry us, but I don't know exactly what would lead to, but if our fear is how the public would respond, then perhaps at least trying to show... I gave us a bad showing before in my attempt to do the opposite. But it matters little to me. I'm afraid. I'm not afraid of them here and now. But I'm afraid for those I care about at home. And I will make myself an enemy of these people if I need to, meaning the people of Sparta, if that can actually help reduce this threat to those I care about.
Aye.
After all, at least according to the riddle that I was sent out with, it doesn't need to be positive fame.
Alright, Dono.
Your rooms are ready if you wish to retire. Sorry to interrupt your discussion. I can't. Even in my old age, one thing that has not faded is my nose. Do you wish me to get some bowls for the stew you have sitting there on the table? Or I would hate to have something so delicious go to... I'm assuming it's delicious. It smells divine.
That's a bit of an ongoing problem. If you don't mind, I did mean to actually sit down and make sure that that was not past its best by date. It wouldn't be very kind of us to come into your home and bring you ill food.
You know, I could drink it. Well, not to interrupt, but I feel quite healthy nowadays, and with some of my own abilities that I've been able to heal some people, I might be able to draw out either in myself or someone else. Not if it's magic, but if there's a toxin involved or an illness. I don't know, maybe she spat in the stew, but...
I don't think they're
Do such a
poisoning
thing.
followers.
Fiends.
Could we have just a moment, grandfather?
Sure, I'll get some bowls.
He just walks off.
Let's. How about I eliminate one possibility before you find out the non-scientific way how bad this could go?
The woman who tried to bewitch me gave this to me. So I do have a suspicion about it.
Same. May I have a few moments, please?
Of course.
Just lean over and whisper. Sorry.
Yeah, he's just going to go through the motions of trying to discern any arcane or strange quality about this, just to eliminate that possibility.
Are you doing both detect magic again and identify, or are you doing one over the other?
I guess
In
I'm going
this-
to do identify first, just to try and shortcut it. But if nothing comes up, then I'll do the detect.
I'm gonna say Soup should always read nothing on detect magic, and if it comes back as anything else,
Yeah.
Is this poisoned? Yes. What is this poison?
Yeah, I figured
Less
it's like, let's just,
relevant.
yeah.
Soup, now with Beldura.
100% more Beldora.
Campbell's Chunky has expanded their line.
Aggressive.
Phoebe, were you going to say something to me?
She was just gonna whisper to Themisto when you bring up the woman who tried to enchant you. Going to fight her first.
Mr. will smile at that. But then she'll get a very serious face. And she'll say, as she tried to persuade me for a moment, when she touched my arm, she almost appeared as you.
Definitely going to fight her first.
During this period of time of Laertes detecting magic, Cypress will just pipe up at least one more time. The deception that you came up with, Themisto, was quite effective so far. I do just want to offer and reiterate for those of you turning for a sidelong glance at Laertes, who's busy, who are better at these plans and scientific processes. If we can come up with a plan that would require me to be the bad guy, where another method is not possible, I am more than willing to take that upon myself if it will help this process, especially if the crowd already seem to not like me.
I appreciate that, Cypress, but in truth, a warning that I have received from you, or I don't know, about what they were saying about me afterwards. It makes my skin crawl, and I am very worried about returning to travel with them alone.
Well, not let you do
Well,
it.
that you should not do, under any circumstances. Even if we can attempt to keep up the charade, traveling with them alone sounds a terrible idea to me.
Just out of character real quick, Iskra, when Themisto was doing the recounting, did she talk about the glyph or ink or whatever pattern beyond the door?
Oh, goodness. Thank you for the reminder about that.
That was partly why I was going into. I want to detect that because that's where the food was being made, apparently.
I will remember that as Laertes is detecting soup.
Honestly, If I had
Because-
that ability in real life, or at least conjure soup. I mean,
Conjure soup.
Because I imagine your detect soup has some of your signature motions. And she'll go, where this was being prepared, there was a symbol. And she'll go ahead and describe this dark shape.
he kind of like leans back in the frame to pay attention to that while his hands are off camera trying to work his magic.
Themisto,
So
make
the reason I'm
Go ahead. No, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
the reason
right
I'm
now?
asking is the range on clairvoyance is a mile, and now that I've seen the inside of that building, I assume I've seen that door that it was behind, and I could place a scrying sensor in that room
Ooh,
from here, probably, to get a better look at it.
That's dope.
Sure.
I have a feeling we're about to see something disturbing.
So just doing the ancient Greek version of Baby Shark.
Yeah, I think I will wait for Bardas to return with the bowls before
Bardas
I do
returns.
Let him go to bed.
He does. He returns. He returns with some bowls and some small, like wooden soup spoon sort of things.
Here you go. If I may. In the past 87 years. I'm just kidding. I know I look older. In the past, we'll say 50 years. My nose has never failed me once when it comes to things that are past their due.
If he reaches for it, I'm mage hedging this shit out of this.
I will tell you right now, I think you're pretty safe. This stew smells fresh. Fresh enough to be on the non-spoiled side. And I have had my fair share of questionable meat sources. If that puts anything to rest in your mind.
Speaking of rest, we have kept you up far too late.
I do not mean to disturb you. Please, just keep it down and I will see you all in the morning. Good night.
And he like shuffles off.
Or Antonio, shall we listen to that? I don't know if those senses are not to be offensive, trustworthy when it comes to exactly what we are doing.
I think-
I do not think that his area of expertise extends to the potential perils that could befall us in this particular stew.
What were the
My
unusual
new
meats
favorite
he was
sentence.
talking about?
I know that the Onishian way would be to dig in, but
Okay. You, alright to know. This will happen somewhat simultaneously, I suppose. Are you casting clairvoyance? I will take that
Oh,
as a
yeah.
yes.
I need you to get a googly eye and just pop it right here when you use this one.
my open my
Yes.
googly third eye.
he's casting e-clairvoyance.
Oh my god, a
Let me mark
giant
that spell off.
giant donut appears on the sky.
Detect soup, e-clairvoyance, what is this?
Delicious dungeon. it
All right,
seems like.
Eclair.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
Eclair.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Uh,
I kept hearing declare violence. I was like, that kind of what we're
Declare
doing.
violence.
Yes.
Also possible.
I think that's what we need to rename Roll Initiative to.
Declare violence. I love that. Okay. Aretino. You remember in your mind's eye the space. Ooh, and you are within a mile. I was like, oh, I forgot the city's big, but you are in a spot where you can actually do this. So, good job. You remember seeing the door for that brief minute. And so you imagine and you think about placing your mind's eye on the other side of that door. And you do so.
Nice.
In your mind's eye, it pops into being. A fireplace, a room, a hearth, the hearth, piles of offerings piled around this hearth. A symbol that is crudely painted on the wall above this hearth. There are two doors here. One, the door you imagine that leads to the storeroom, and another door that leads elsewhere. Here in this room, you see no one at the moment. It is devoid of anyone. There are rugs placed around the hearth, almost like a small enough to be either like yoga mat style or like prayer rugs. Like they're just tiny rugs, but they're all facing the flames. And the offerings that sit around the fire, gleaming and shining with the firelight of the burning fire. Again. Laertes.
Yes.
You detect no ill spell, but one small little bit of, is it, oh my gosh, what is the one cantrip that you use to make something taste good?
Prestidigitation.
Prestidigitation, so you detect that.
Mm-hmm. That's all I detect.
Yeah, there's no other magic involved in this. You get the ingredients.
Oh, that is interesting.
The ingredients are simple.
I got a thought now. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Nope. That was basically about it. Potatoes, leeks, salts, minerals, and a really well-cooked meat. Something
Okay.
gags in your throat.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I have something to do here. Sorry, I keep interrupting. I'm very excited.
And you swallow. It's almost like
Not
you
that
can.
excited.
It's almost like you can taste it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you eat it? Oh, okay.
It's strange. You feel like you would recognize most of the things that would be in here except for this. And your mind kind of, you twitch your head a little and you focus in just a little bit. And your heart starts to beat faster. It's not your heart that you are sensing. You almost swear you can sense the life that this had once. And the screams of terror and pain. Human screams of terror and pain. And you feel like you're gonna vomit. And that's where we're gonna end for tonight.
Oh, I had a reaction to that.
Okay, go
God damn
ahead. What's your reaction? What's your reaction?
You don't see anger on him very often. And he doesn't hold his hand over to keep anyone from going after it. The original thought of he was going to use prestidigitation to cancel out the additive that makes it smell nicer, that makes it potentially taste better, to hide what it really is. But instead, his hand sweeps out, but it's not his hand, it's that wave of gravitation that smashes these items against the wall. shattering whatever they were in, scattering them on the floor.
The soup is spilled. The stew simmers and cools on the floor. All of you look over to Laertes. And as you said, you don't see anger very often. But something is really wrong. And that's where we'll end for tonight.
Oh, that was so good.
I have thoughts to share after the show. But
Fantastic, fantastic.
thank you, Aaron. That was fun.
And
No.
brutal. I have all kinds of things to say too.
I have a thing to say as well.
Oh my god. It's about to go crazy. And I love it. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us tonight. It does have some interesting implications for the sandwiches. The evil sandwiches.
Well, that's just it. I would have been putting all the food together because once you cast the spell, you can do it on all of it at the same time. So,
Human flesh baked right into the crust.
new from McDonald's, the Good Morning Burger.
Love it. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Looking forward to next Tuesday's session. It will not be coming soon
Where
enough.
the rest of us dig in.
But yep, should be a lot of fun. Join us tomorrow night for some further creepy crawly goodness.
I mean, if you're into eating people.
you know.
Depends on who.
That's not eating as much as it's a little like light neck nibbling, and who hasn't committed a war crime or two in that kind of. I'm sorry.
Okay, cool, David. Good for you.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out. We look forward to seeing you guys next time. See you tomorrow. Stay fey, be brave. The safe word is mango.
Don't eat the pie.
Don't eat the pie.
Wait,
Or
it's not pie. I'm just spinning a Sweeney Todd
Bunny spread.
thing.
Bunny spread.
That's what they put on the bread. No, wait, that's just
Oh no!